And we're back here once again with another episode of the Cloud9 Podcast, Season 17, Episode 11. So I hope you guys had a great day, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your week that is ahead of you. And in this episode of the Cloud9 Podcast, we are going to be talking about the beginnings of the NBA 2025-2026 playoffs. We also are going to be previewing some of the matchups here between obviously some of the big marquee ones, Lakers versus Rockets, Clippers versus Warriors. Denver is going to be playing up against the Timberwolves, actually, and we'll be getting into some of the other spicy things that ended up happening for the final week of the regular season for the NBA 2025-2026 season. So I know you guys are probably like, where the heck has MSK and Noops been? Well, being honest here, I have been trying to look for a new job, as you guys know, from the MSK Show and this one as well. People also who follow me on Twitter and social media know that too. And actually, good news, I got a call back from the one that I really wanted, other than the other one I really wanted. So after this show today, I'm actually going to go down there and to see what's going to end up happening with it. Last time we did a show was a month ago because Noops wanted to do the show. Then he hung out with his wife, so he left me for his wife. That's what it ended up initially happening. Then he was like, okay, I'm busy this week. And I was like, I can't make it this week. I got called into work. So pretty much just because you guys haven't seen us do a show doesn't mean anything happen. It just means like, sometimes life is busy and schedules just don't sync up as often sometimes because, life just happens. Actually, if you watch the NBA and then you go on Twitter, you're like, wow, life must be crazy. Because I swear, like, there's sometimes I'm watching games and I'm like, this is actually a pretty good game. Barring some bullshit that I've talked about here on the show that I don't like with what happens sometimes with like a lot of the stuff. Then on Twitter, people act like it's World War III. It is utterly insane, actually. But how you been doing, man? It's been a minute since we've talked to each other. So how's life been going, actually?
It's good. It's a time of year where, although there is NBA basketball, as much as, we probably could have talked about something over the last few weeks. The last month, the NBA season is a mess. You've got teams shutting people down once they lock into their playoff positions. Even good teams aren't pushing very hard. So the last couple of weeks of the season are always a grind. Again, as someone that watches a lot of it and part of my living comes from betting on the NBA, I really tuned things down over the last couple of weeks. It's just so hard to tell. But this is the payoff. This is the reward. We've got the play-in games this week. And then starting on Saturday, the actual NBA playoffs, I think what's going to be one of the very best NBA playoffs that we've seen in a long time. We've got a marquee team in Oklahoma City who's defending the championship and is probably going to win. I have them favored. I think they're going to come out ahead, but we've got a couple candidates in the Western Conference, San Antonio and Denver, now that they're healthy, that are absolutely capable of beating them in a series. And then we've got the Eastern Conference, which is as wide open as probably as it's ever been. Kate Cunningham finally back. Detroit looks fantastic. Boston has been great with Jason Tatum. The Knicks are still lurking, and we'll see what the Cavs can do, but it should just be an absolutely spectacular couple months here of NBA basketball.
Also, as you guys know, the play-ins will be beginning on the 14th, actually. So,
yep, tomorrow.
No, or is it the 18th, actually? Let me see. I'm pretty sure it's the 14th.
No, we've got play-in games tomorrow. So what they do is, for those who aren't familiar in the NBA, the teams that finish 7, 8, 9, and 10 go into their own little tournament where 7 plays 8. Whoever wins 7 and 8 becomes the 7 seed. The loser of that game then plays the winner of the game between 9 and 10. That team becomes the 8 seed. So what we'll see is on Tuesday, we'll have all of the 7, 8, and 9, 10 games. Tuesday, what they'll do is the 7, 8 games. Or no, I'm sorry, Tuesday is – so it's actually a mix of both. Over Tuesday and Wednesday, 2 games each night. That's the 7, 8, 9, 10 games. And then Friday will be the – again, loser of those 7, 8 games versus the winner of those 9, 10 games. Then we've got a day off. And then Saturday, it's playoff time, baby.
Yeah. So as you guys know, we are now officially in the postseason for this season of the NBA. And it's always like, it's like the teasing they do in like, movies and TV where like, that girl likes that guy and they're always doing that thing of like, no, I don't know if I really want to be with you. And she's like, I don't really know if I want to be with you. And then you get this like slow burn that actually builds up between a lot of it. And then that's what the play-ins is. The play-ins is a girl and guy that know they should bang, but they just haven't figured it out yet. Now, to be fair, I've told people this. I don't mind the play-ins, actually, because you know what I've told people around here? I have heard Oh my God, so many years. How do we make the regular season more exciting? Well, we could try to actually have a mini little tournament in the regular season. No, it doesn't count. All right. Well, can we allow like a few more seeds into the playoffs to have like their own little mini thing to kind of like build some excitement? And maybe you get like an underdog story there. No, I don't like that either. It brings no stakes. Then that's what a regular season is. A regular season is boring. No offense to anybody. If you don't actually know this because you're a moron, regular seasons are boring. They're to set the narratives and tones going into the playoffs. So keep in mind, just because you have a more exciting regular season doesn't mean you'll even get an exciting playoffs. I think people got to understand this. Playoffs, I've seen some of these seasons that I watch from most of these sports where the best team just kind of just stomps everybody, and you kind of know in the back of your head that's how it's going to play out. But like I said before, guys, when it comes to this stuff here, try to have a little bit more fun with it, though. Let's be honest here. I think what was like the Heat, like the first year they tried this out, actually made it to the finals with like the whole play-in thing. Actually, has there been any significant results of like teams that are seeded 9th and 10th making the finals? But I don't think that was ever the intention, though. I think in the back of your head, if you make up these formats, a 10th place team isn't making the finals, guys. It's just like that'd be like 1 out of like 10 years we're trying this is going to happen. Like, you got to factor in, there's a definite strength level to some of these teams. There's a reason why a lot of the Spurs and Nuggets fans were very mad about like how the games planned out yesterday, because they know at the end of the day they're going to have to go through OKC. Guys, this is how it works now in the NBA. Everyone knows they got to go through OKC at some point, and they don't want to do that. Like, let's be honest here. In the playoffs, you guys also must understand this, though. If you want to be considered the best, you have to go through some of the best teams at some point, or a best team at one point. This notion that you're going to just dodge all these teams, and it's like, are you? Because like even in the Eastern Conference, some of those teams actually look pretty scary. Like the Hawks had like what, a 12-2 way to finish their season. The Knicks finished their season 5 or 6 wins straight. I mean, you also have like the Cavs. They have James Harden, and James Harden has been pretty good for their team. You also have the Pistons, who finished their best regular season ever, like literally ever, with Kate Cunningham building it up each season actually for them. But what do you think, man? Because W said he can speak whatever he wants to. He's a grown man. Oh my God. Okay,
I'm happy to let you rip, man, and slide in kind of when we got a break here. But I'll start with your comments about the play-in tournament. Again, it was developed initially as a way to try to disincentivize tanking. More teams have an opportunity to make the playoffs, and then just create more drama around the end of season and seeding. You not just have teams playing to fight to get to 9-10 to have a chance to get in the play-in, but you have teams fighting to avoid it, because what it also did was created a big advantage for teams that finish top 6, because they get this whole week off. They get an entire week off basically to relax, rest, rehab, prepare for the teams that they're going to play. So I've really enjoyed the play-in tournament. It's one of those things where for some reason, NBA fans, I forget who said this. I think it might have been Charles Barkley or somebody like that. But the biggest problem the NBA has is the NBA fans hate the NBA. And it's such a negative group overall. And you look at what Silver's done, it's been great. They have a lot of things to fix. But I have really enjoyed the play-in games. And to answer your question, we have had a play-in team make the NBA Finals, MSK, the Miami Heat in 2023 as the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. Actually, I think they were the 7th, lost the 7-8 game, won the game against the loser, the winner 9-10, went all the way to the finals against that Denver Nuggets team. So it has been an opportunity for teams like that to sort of save their season. But yes, in general, what you're doing is having kind of a tournament for a week to have the right to get absolutely smacked by some of these first round teams. But this year is a little interesting in that you've got a team in Charlotte, the Charlotte Hornets, who have had another big one of the 3 best net ratings in the league for the last 40-50 games of the season, are the 9th seed in the East. Now, they've got a tough road. They have to beat the Heat either tomorrow or Wednesday. That'll actually be tomorrow. That'll be a really interesting game. They are favored there, but Miami has a lot more experience in this. This is one of those meetings where Charlotte is better. The roster is better, but Miami has been here before. They've got the better coach in Spoelstra. So, what does that kind of mean? Now, I think that again, that's a tough spot for them. You've got the Sixers Magic game.
No really bias there. You might be predicting you guys to move on. No bias there. Absolutely, y'all. If you predict them to win,
that game just bums me out because Orlando's been a disaster all season, right? And the Sixers Every time the Sixers are trying to do something, Joel Embiid,
he's injured.
Is just going to have this prolific injury career. If you didn't know MSK, he has appendicitis. He had to have his appendix removed. We
remember
to add this to the list of stuff that has happened to Joel Embiid. But I do hope the Sixers win that game. I think it'll be interesting to see Tyrese Maxey against the Celtics. But if Charlotte can make it through, that Charlotte-Detroit series, the first round is going to be interesting. But the way I sort of look at this, if you kind of want to go through here, what I'm kind of expecting here, I think Detroit moves on. Cleveland should absolutely clobber Toronto. Boston almost certainly beats the 7. That Knicks-Hawks series is a little weird. I am expecting the Knicks to advance, but the Hawks match up pretty well there. They really do. What do you think of the East?
Okay, so a lot of these are actually very fun if people have been, watching most of the season. Dude. So Charlotte and Miami. Okay, so Miami, the reason why, because I know a lot of people are going to go, well, the Heat, I know them. LeBron used to be with them on. That, I want you guys to understand, that's not the same Heat. The Heat you remember with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade and Ray, that's not the same Heat we have now. This is a Heat team. I swear at one point in the season had the worst rebound efficiency in the league. They literally couldn't. I was like, wow. How you always say, don't watch bad games that you probably know are going to be trash. I can't do that in my brain. I have to watch almost everything. I am obsessive like that. This team almost made me want to take my computer and throw it at a wall. They couldn't catch rebounds. I just don't think they are good enough with everything we've been hearing about them too. Because, that one guy, Bamtech, he criticized the front office, like not even just a few weeks ago before the regular season even ended. He was like, what is my front office doing? It doesn't even feel like we're even trying to build to anything. It feels like we're all just kind of just going by the motions by what he had said. I feel like how they've ended the season, how I've seen them play for most of it, I think the Hornets just win. I think the Hornets are on an upward trajectory. I do think LaMelo Ball, or is it Lorenzo Ball? LaMelo Ball, he's been playing pretty good. You have Con Knipple. I know you guys we're super excited about what's his oh my god, Cooper Flagg on the Mavericks. Con Knipple is also very, very good. And these guys are very, very good at 3-point shooting, in my opinion. I feel like the way they play, they play the style that I like that other teams in league play. They're super unpredictable. There's nights where they're completely stomping people. There's other nights they lose games that they otherwise should have. But like we said before, playoff experience goes into that. I think, do you think them as a rookie team with this kind of level of, well, success for Charlotte's nothing. I'll say minor success they've had toward the very end. Do you think that's enough to give them confidence to win? Because like I said before, the Heat have been, very up and down most of the season. Do you think they mentally just bounce back? If they can get a win, because you know how like some teams go, if they're playing really bad and they get that one win against a really bad team, then their confidence kicks in. We're like, you know what? I'm not that bad. Then their confidence shoots up. Do you think the Heat are even like that anymore? Or do you think if the Hornets start pulling away with a few games as series wins, do you think they just blow them out? I'm thinking there might be a hot prediction, guys. I think Charlotte blows them out. I think if Charlotte get a nice head start against them, I think the series is 4-1. I do not think they are mentally there. I don't think they're as a team there for watching their games. I don't even think they can't rebound. Watch this. Go on YouTube. Watch them try to rebound. It is. I saw a game where a dude just chucked the ball at the free throw line. He still couldn't get it. It was horrible. But I'll ask you, man, do you think there's life in Miami? Do you think they're out of heat, actually? Okay. All right. The puns are all there.
So, the betting odds right now, the Hornets are 5.5-point favorites. That means the market expects them to win by 6 points or more. Mm-hmm. And it's a situation where the Hornets, again, have the better team. They are more talented. They could absolutely win this game and then maybe win a couple games in the first round series. But a lot of it comes down to experience. The playoffs is much, much different. And it's something we sort of are reminded again every year in the NBA. The guys that haven't been in a lot of these high leverage games aren't nearly as used to it. And it's not just as simple as things get more tense. It's that the style of play changes. It's that being flexible, being able to change strategies, being able to find a way to speed games up, slow them down, things like that becomes really important. And the other sort of lurking thing for Charlotte, there's sort of two things, and you mentioned one of them, but I'll start with the 3-point shooting for Charlotte. It's great. They make a lot of threes.
Really good.
That creates a very high variance way of playing basketball. And in a one-game sample size, maybe if they come out and have a tough shooting night, all of a sudden, again, maybe the nerves set in. They're just the efficiency isn't quite there.
That happened to the Celtics last year. They were like really they were like, what? This is like the best 3-point shooting team ever in the NBA. The moment that snapped and they weren't making as many, they collapsed. That's what I'm thinking too. Like you said, if they have a night, just a night where let's say they start in the series 3-0. Let's say they start 3-0, and then there's one their game 4. Oh my God, we're actually just straight up choking this. Does that give the Heat a way back in a reverse sweep? I don't know. Like you said, it's hard when you're talking about rookie teams because rookie teams either go all in and they just go super ham and they can potentially go to the finals, or they just bum out in the first round, which would suck if this team would bum out in the first round because Miami going further is just sad because we know they're going to get destroyed. Yeah.
And I think that's what I'm talking about. If this was a 7-game series, I would feel a lot more comfortable with Charlotte. Whereas in a 1-game situation, if you've got a Hornets team where, again, the shots aren't quite going in, and then you've got a Miami team where, like you mentioned, they struggle to rebound. The Hornets are a big offensive rebounding team. They don't really attack the boards on offense. So I don't think it's going to be as big of a problem for Miami. And then the Heat have Eric Spoelstra, arguably the best coach in the NBA, someone who is incredible at seeing how games are being played, making changes, but also coming in with a plan. I think what we're going to see the Heat here is try to slow this game down, try to make it really ugly, and just kind of see how Charlotte responds if they kind of get punched in the face because you've got Ware, you've got Bam. That's enough size to sort of protect the rim for all 48 minutes of the game. You've got Tyler Hero has been really good. Norm Powell is healthy. I don't think Wiggins is going to be playing in this game, but you've just got a lot of experience on that Miami side. And if there's any nerves at all for Charlotte, things could get a little dicey, but I do expect Charlotte to win this game. I make them, again, the current spread's about 5.5. I would make the Hornets like 4.5, 5-point favorites.
Yeah, because I want people to understand as you listen to this back on the replay, these matches right here that you see, these are not the best of 7s. These are the best of 1s, actually.
Yep.
And in one single shot game, I can see the Hornets just winning, honestly. I could see that happening. I just don't see... Because the Heat have been what? They've been very inconsistent most of the year. I would say I would say Charlotte wins. And your team, Sixers and Magic. So I'll be honest here. This is the most toss-up one here, honestly. You're both wild cards. Tyrese Maxey will have games where he's just absolutely dominating. Also, if Joel Embiid's there. But there could be nights where if they're shut down on certain plays on the board, oof. I don't know. But the problem here is the Magic, what are they actually good at, though? Like when people were praising them coming into the season, I was trying to factor in, what are they really good at, though? Whenever I see them play, it's just a lot of very chaotic games with no actual way of thoroughly winning the game, though. Like, I watched their game, and I'm like, this is just a bad team. Now, keep in mind, injuries, guys, I know, yes, I know that's happened with their players, but the players they have now, guys, aren't that good, honestly. Keep in mind, if the Eastern Conference is considered weaker than the Western Conference, guys, the Magic, didn't they almost have like a sub-100 record, honestly? I'm pretty sure the Sixers should be favored in that. They would have to be.
It's a toss-up right now. Basically, this game's a pick-em, basically no points either way. And a lot of that's because Embiid's not playing. And coming into the season, there was a lot of optimism about Orlando because they had 2 seasons being this incredible defensive team, one of the hardest teams to play against, very physical, all over you. And they were able to add Desmond Bane, someone who fit perfectly because he's a good defensive player. And finally, there'd be a 3-point shooter on the floor, someone to spread, things out here a little bit. But the defense has taken a huge step back this year. I think that with 2 years of tape, offenses kind of know where to attack this team. There's also been a huge level of inconsistency in terms of who's playing, but it isn't all coming together. This is a game where, honestly, whatever team loses this game might fire their coach. Nick Nurse has had a really rough go of it for the Sixers the last couple seasons.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen, but if the Magic lose this game, and especially if the Magic lose this game and then lose to Charlotte or Miami, Jamal Mosley's done. He is out.
I'll ask you this.
Really clunky.
Because I asked my friend Chaz, who's a Knicks fan, do you think in that one game, hypothetically, let's say Orlando starts and they go like, I don't know, it's like 32-15. Do you think that the Sixers have the ability to make like a 20-0 run to make a comeback? Because if that's possible,
absolutely, because the Magic offense stinks, and they can go cold at a second. And you mentioned Tyrese Maxey. I think he's the best player in this game, and it's something to always think about when you get to these big playoff moments and these playoff series. A lot of it comes down to the best player in the game, and
also clutch player too.
For Charlotte, Miami, Bam could be the best player in that game. It'll probably be LaMelo, maybe Khan, but it could be Bam. Whereas in the Sixers game, I think Maxey is the best player in this game. There isn't really a lot of guys for Orlando who can slow him down. And I think with Maxey and Edgecombe and even Quentin Grimes coming off the bench, you've got a really interesting guard lineup with the way Paul George has been shooting, especially. There's definitely a way for the Sixers to come back here. I expect the Sixers to win this game, but it's just really hard to figure out.
No bias at all. Just might be wearing a Sixers hat.
Usually I pick against them, honestly. I really do. Yeah, and for those who are listening to the show, I am a huge Sixers fan. I wear a Sixers hat on every show. I'm wearing it now.
I mean, so if you guys win this, hypothetically, you guys are going to face the Celtics.
Yep. If the Sixers win, they face the Celtics, right?
Good Lord. That's just punishment. Good. But hey, you know what they say? This is the saying we have in league. We take those.
It's one of those things where the Celtics will almost certainly win that series, but the Sixers could steal a couple games. Again, a lot of it hinges on
games, yeah.
If Embiid can come back. It's one of those things where the Sixers are good at the guard position, and they have Embiid. That is really where a lot of their strength is. The weaknesses for the Celtics, they don't really have a center. Pritchard and White are solid, but they're not as good as maybe Maxey and Edgecombe can be. So you do have some matchups things there, but the Sixers don't have anybody that can guard either Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. You know, Kelly Oubre Jr. will try his best. Paul George is just not there defensively at this point. So I think the Sixers could make some of those games interesting. We could see Maxey really take a big step forward, but I think you're right. Regardless of who comes out of this play-in tournament, Boston advances.
Okay, hypothetically, I'm going to push this into existence. What if your team knocks them out first round and you just gentleman sweep them like 4-1 or 4-0? Like, would you hypothetically do backflips down the street?
I am going to fly to Boston in Sixers gear head to toe. I'm going to walk off the plane. I'm going to take an Uber to the Boston arena, and I am going to parade around the arena myself for the entire day.
Because last year, a lot of us thought the Knicks actually couldn't beat them. Now, to be fair, that was also because the Celtics, who were known for being a three-point shooting team, completely just started. They missed like what? The most three-pointers ever in like a series, and they just I feel like they straight just mentally boomed. They just mentally boomed after their strategy. Like there was no other strategy they could make. It's like we would just have to only shoot threes. It's like there's no way your team is this good, and this is the only strategy you have. No, that was their strategy. That was just being an efficient three-point shooting team.
And like you said, it's a strategy coming in, and it's something generally. So to take a big step back, for those of you that maybe aren't as familiar with basketball and NBA, the most efficient shot in the game is a dunk, a layup. Get near the basket. The next most efficient shot is a corner three. Basically, you've got this shorter shot. It's worth more points. And the best way to play basketball is to shoot a lot of threes. And the Celtics really push towards that. And I think one of the big things, too, is one of the fundamental changes of the team. Jaylen Brown has really changed his game. He's much better at attacking the basket and getting those mid-range twos. And a lot of these playoffs come down to who has somebody at the end of the games that can score. And what we saw last year with the Celtics was the brilliance of Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson, every time the Knicks needed a bucket at the end of the game, Brunson was there. He could generate an opportunity. He could find a way to get to the free throw line, get a floater, get a jumper like that, whereas Tatum is not as gifted in that. Jaylen Brown wasn't last year, but I think coming into this season, Brown's gotten much better of understanding. And it's kind of like you said, shooting threes and layups is the best way to do it. But when the games get tough and teams have all series to plan for it, defenses know that too, right? This isn't like some sort of hidden secret.
Because
the defenses are playing for that. So winning often comes down to having someone who can create a shot that the defense isn't necessarily prepared to guard. So how do you get a hard two? How are you able to get to the free throw line? Like it was one of the reasons where, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, these guys, Dwayne Wade were fantastic in that mid-range where it's like, this defense is set up to keep us from shooting threes and keep us from getting to the rim. Well, I'm going to find a way to do it in the middle. That's why a guy like Dirk Nowitzki was incredible. He could basically stand above the free throw line, catch the ball, and get a good shot off every time. So I think last year was tough for the Celtics. They were kind of injured coming in. Obviously, they lose Tatum. But again, the point overall is matchups are everything here. And in the same way the Sixers are a tough matchup for Boston, the Knicks match up very well. Again, you've got Jalen Brunson, who is a better guard than any of the guards the Celtics have. You've got Karl Anthony Towns, who's a better center than any of the Celtics have. Now, Jalen and Jason are better than Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, but Bridges and OG Anunoby can sort of give them hell. It will be a closer series than you expect, but Mazzulla is a better coach to me than Mike Brown. So I like the Celtics there.
And that's the thing that I want people to understand when they're listening to this back is, a lot of people just think just because a team looks better in the standings, that means that best team or second or third best team won't have like individual bad matchups against other teams. Like, I want you guys to understand, I think it was the Timberwolves actually have the best record against the Denver Nuggets. They're like, what, 10-1 against them in the last, how many games they played against each other in like the last few seasons? There could be a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not going to push any hope into Phillies fans' minds out there. There's a possibility if the 76ers are a bad matchup for the Celtics, there's a good chance you actually, even if you don't win, there's a good chance that's 7 games, honestly, because, or like I said before, this year with the Celtics, like you said with Jalen, I forget his name sometimes. It's Brown. It's Brown. Jalen Brown. Do you think they're a lot more versatile this year compared to last year to make those adjustments? Because that's the thing is, this year they actually look like they're a lot more adjusting to whatever's going to be on the fly than what they did last year, and that is partly due to the fact that they didn't have Jason Tatum until recently, actually. So there's a good, You would have to favor the Celtics going in just off paper alone. But I want you guys to understand, the NBA is so unpredictable this season. Random teams that you would think are much worse have matched up way better. I'm not shitting you guys. The Lakers, like you say, 3rd seed, are 1-11 against every team above them, actually in both conferences. Both, and they're the 3rd seed.
Yeah.
That's how things can pan out like that. You know, just because you're 3rd doesn't mean you're just gonna automatically defeat everybody that's below you. You know, the Hornets over here actually blew out OKC a few months ago. Well, that was their biggest loss of the entire season. It was like 123 to like 99. Just absolutely just straight up fisted them, actually. So I wonder if Noops will find out this stream. Just what no, you see what I got to deal with every day.
I've been here before, Weeze.
Oh God. Okay.
Don't you worry about me. But yeah, I think the Celtics are a little better than they were last year. I think going from Horford and Holiday to having Nemias Queta, Luka Garza, again, just you've got fresher legs. You've got guys that play a little bit more aggressively, which is fine. I think the Celtics team, and it's just again, it's a lot about the development of Jaylen Brown. I think the Celtics team. So again, for those of you looking at this picture, the winner of 2-7 plays the winner of 3-6. I think the Celtics beat whoever the 7th seed is, and almost certainly beat the winner of Knicks Hawks. And basically, all of a sudden, they're in the Eastern
That's another spicy one there that I want to go over. So before that one, Cavaliers Hawks. No, not Cavaliers Hawks. Oh my God, Cavs Raptors. Yes. Okay, I will say I'll be honest here. Haven't had a chance to watch a lot of Raptor games. I've watched more Cavs games than Raptor games. The problem here that arises with the Cavs guys is they have my boy, James Harden. You know, James Harden's the guy who's always the regular season MVP. He's always a regular season merchant. Some of the best shooting ever, highest scoring player ever. He's probably the best. He's probably one of the best modern regular season players of all time, I would argue, especially in a lot of different categories, guarding, three-point shooting, key shooting, all that stuff. But that's a big problem. That rarely translates to playoffs. That's the problem, though. Just like last year, he had a game where he scored 11 points. This is he's supposed to be like the best shooting player in the entire league. You scored 11 points in a whole quarter. That was all he scored. He's just that one quarter. He scored 11 points. Most of those are free throws. That was horrible. So the problem here is I would love to take the Cavs. I would. But James Harden, James Harden's choking. I don't know if I can trust it, though. I think they're the better team. I agree with you. I think they're better. But is James Harden not going to choke this time around? That's the problem, though. It feels like
Cavaliers are going to thrash the Raptors. Cavaliers are going to wipe them out. This is a sweep, maybe a gentleman's sweep. For those who don't know, it's a best-of-7 series. 4-0 is a sweep. 4-1 is the gentleman's sweep. You let the other team win a game. Toronto is basically outclassed in every way in this series. It's a team in Toronto. You mentioned how the Lakers have struggled against good teams. The Raptors have not beaten a single good team really all year, unless it was a bad schedule spot or injuries or stuff like that. You start to think about the best player in this series. Scotty Barnes is really solid, but Donovan Mitchell is heads and shoulders better than he is. He's going to be the best player in the series. And Harden, I understand your point about Harden. First round's usually okay. First round's fine. There's not, we're playing a bad Raptors team. I'm curious to see what Harden does in the second round when they get the Pistons there and things like that. But everything points to this just being an absolute blowout.
Like if I was a betting man, I agree with you. I would pick the Cavs, but I wouldn't pick them long term because of James Harden being on their team. That's the only reason I wouldn't long term pick them. But
absolutely. I'm not telling you that Cavaliers are going to win the East or do anything great beyond the series, but it's going to be one of those things where I will be pretty heavily myself. I've already bet the Cavaliers to win this series, minus 1.5 games, minus 2.5 games. A lot of those prices are gone, so don't bet it right now. Me and some of my buddies move that market around.
James, do not disappoint noobs. I swear to God, if you
I'm going to be on. I'm already heavy on Cleveland in this series. I'm going to bet a ton against them in the next. I honestly just from again, for those of you who haven't heard already, I'm an NBA gambler. It's how I make about half of my income at this point. I kind of hope that we get Charlotte, Detroit, and it's just tough series where, Charlotte wins. I'm sorry, Detroit wins that series, but maybe it's 6 games and everyone's like, oh, Detroit doesn't have it. They don't. And we see Cleveland. Sorry, just choking on something. We see Cleveland win comfortably. I'm going to get a great price on Pistons against Cavaliers. That's what I'm hoping. That is my dream scenario.
That's your plan. I see your plan. Your plan is Hornets face the Pistons, give the Pistons kind of a run for their money, even if they don't win, but it makes everyone doubt the Pistons.
Correct.
And then
everyone's high on Cleveland because they beat the crap out of a Raptors team that's no good. I am going to be all over Detroit in that series.
Or the opposite happens and James Harden's choking problems arrive in round 1. And then you're just like, all right, well, that just sucks.
Yes. Then I have less money than I used to.
For the past few years with the Clippers, now to be fair, I get why people bring up last year. I understand that guy. But last year they had the hardest matchup in the first round. And it did go 7 games actually. Last year when they played up against Denver, and there was a very good shot if Kawhi Leonard and James Harden didn't. Oh my God, they straight up missed 2 clutch threes. Had they not missed those 2 clutch threes, they would have actually won the whole series, though. And the problem now is, well, Kawhi is away from James Harden, so we'll see how it'll go. But yeah, I do agree with you. I think Celtics win whoever comes out of that match. And this one right here, I would pick betting for James Harden, fucking hell. All right, James, you better not let me down. I swear to God, if he lets me down, oh my God, my hope for you ever winning just will go even lower than my dad's expectations of being in my life.
I would not. I'm not trying to get your hopes up about James Harden. And again, he joined the team in Cleveland that has been a letdown the last couple seasons. Last year, it was a lot about injuries, but this Cleveland team really hasn't been able to put it together. But like I said, this matchup here. It's just awful.
Yeah, because the Eastern Conference, outside of Pistons, Celtics, Knicks, and Cavs, and now you would probably, arguably, I would say the Hornets and the Hawks are a better team than the Raptors are, in my opinion, actually. But, just panned out that their later in the season's wins didn't matter as much because the Raptors just had a ginormous head start, when the season started, actually. So, and yeah, you already said the Pistons win whoever comes out of the Cavaliers and Raptors matchup. Now here's the spice. Knicks fans, don't get mad at me. I'm not saying the Hawks are going to beat you. I'm not saying that. But I wouldn't walk into this series thinking it's a free win. The Hawks had a very, very impressive way to end their regular season. They finished 13-1, 12-1, something like that. They only dropped 1 or 2 games to end their season. It really feels like they were hitting their stride toward the very end of the season. And they also got that one player from the Warriors that actually made them a lot more stronger. I forgot his name. It was Jonathan Kuminga. He left the yeah. So they got him. What for some reason they got Jonathan Kuminga, and he was like, "All right, well, I guess I'm a good player." He was never a bad player, though. It's just Steve Kerr's player rotations have always been called into question. And in this matchup, you have Jalen Brunson, you have Karl-Anthony Towns, you have Mikal Bridges, you have a really strong team. The problem with the Knicks that I notice is a very similar thing I've noticed with a lot of these more top NBA teams. And, JJ Redick is always fuming at his head when this happens. Some of these teams, the best ones you will consider on paper, the best teams, start off really strong. I'm talking you're starting 40-15. Then at some point, what's going to happen at some point. The other team just gets a 29-0 run. The problem here is, do you think this is more of a series that is all based off confidence for the Knicks? if the Knicks start getting down a few games in the series, because 7 games, let's say they start down 0-2. Do you think they're confident enough to kind of bring it back? Because we've seen guys after they won the NBA Cup, they lost. They went 2-12. Now, to be fair, it was also based off the season and how like the games were scheduled between home and away. Some of those weren't their fault, understandably. But Jalen Brunson, I remember in the regular season, said they pretty much had like this team meeting. And you kind of know how those go. They all kind of probably yelled at each other. But it looks like they probably had a few of those throughout the season. They're a very good offensive team. Defense is a little lacking there. This is the issue. I think the Knicks win. But I wouldn't be surprised if this actually went 7 games. Now, to be fair, people would be like, well, the Knicks beat the Pistons last year. Not the same Pistons, actually, either, that we have this year.
Took 7.
And this year against the Pistons, they beat them every single time. Actually, the scores were like 120 to like 80. We're talking like absolutely Kate Cunningham fisted them hard. So this is the problem that we have now is the Hawks are also very, very good at what Charlotte is good, in my opinion, of being this fast, efficient team. And the Knicks are too. That's the issue we run into. But then again, the reason why I was to pick the Knicks is because I'm not betting against Jalen Brunson. That guy really came alive in the playoffs last year. If the Knicks had actually won the entire thing, he would have gotten conference MVP, finals MVP, because that guy was really, really putting in the work. Do you think Mike Brown's, because Mike Brown's their head coach, right? So,
yep.
Do you think he's strong enough to adjust in a series like this, pending they start losing or winning, right?
Yeah, it's really tough, and this is a great series, and the Knicks specifically to talk about a lot of things that are important with these playoff series. Number one, coaches matter a lot more in the playoffs. A good coach makes a huge, huge difference here. And Mike Brown's a decent coach. He has shown before he can make adjustments. In game, not great. Pre-game, he's been okay. Quinn Snyder for the Hawks is a great coach. One of the more underrated coaches. Got a lot out of some bad Utah teams. Has done very well with this Atlanta team. When they had Trae Young, finding ways to hide him without him, sort of putting together this kind of great team. The second thing, expectations. The Knicks owner, James Dolan, has made it clear that the Knicks doing anything other than at least making the NBA Finals is a failure. That is a lot of pressure on this team. And the Knicks will host these games. They'll be in Madison Square Garden the first 2. And if the Hawks can win one of those games, God forbid 2, things get really strange. And the other thing the Knicks have is offensively, having Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns is an incredible advantage. As I talked about earlier, in those endgame situations, both of those guys can find a way to get a bucket. Brunson, if you had to make a list of 5 guys you'd want to give the ball to at the end of games, Brunson is in that top 5 comfortably. He's not number 1, but he is absolutely in that top 5, probably top 3. However, defensively, Brunson and Towns are not good. And it's really difficult for an NBA team in a 7-game series to have 2 bad defenders on the floor, because Quinn Snyder is going to have time in between games, especially in the first round. There's more time to find ways to draw up plays to bring Brunson into actions where now you can attack him, to bring Karl-Anthony Towns into actions where you're not only going to have to work them harder, they're going to have to expend more energy playing defense. You're more likely to score if you're attacking Brunson. You're more likely to score if you're attacking Karl-Anthony Towns. So I think a lot of this comes down to just how sharp Atlanta can be. As great as they were at the end of the season, if you go back and break a lot of those games down, they're beating up on bad teams, which is good. Good teams beat up on bad teams, but
right.
Not a lot of wins against guys that can play at a high level. However, given all the pressure on the Knicks, given how good of a coach Quinn Snyder is, given some of the matchup problems, this Hawks team has 5 great defenders on the floor at all times. It is a defensive team that is really solid. Offensively, they have 5 guys who can kind of attack everybody here. So if you're the Hawks and you can steal game 1, all of a sudden there's a lot of nerves on this Knicks side. You come into game 2, that stadium is very supportive when the Knicks are winning. They get real nervous when they're not. So there is, I would say, 70% of the time the Knicks probably win this series. But that 30% for the Hawks, man, that is a lot of things are really in play here. So this is a series I'm really excited to watch. I'm curious to see Quinn Snyder again. Both these coaches have a week off. I am expecting better stuff from Snyder in that week. I am definitely going to be trying to find ways to play the Hawks in game 1 there for sure. I don't know if I will be playing them on the spread. Let me pull it up. They should have that up by now. Yeah, so the Knicks right now, they're 4.5 point favorites in that first game. They're minus 200 to win. And again, minus 200 just means if you bet $100 on the Knicks to win, it pays out 50. Whereas the Hawks are plus 160. You bet 100 on them to win, it pays 160. So 160 plus your 100, obviously, or 50 plus your 100. And it seems, again, the market kind of agrees with me on that. I'll probably be playing the Hawks money line, something like that in this game. Just find a way to sort of bet on the idea that the Hawks can win this series. I really do. I think they have a chance. But again, 70-30. And 70 may sound high, but if I told you there was a 70% chance you'd walk out your front door and not be hit by lightning, you're staying inside.
What do you mean? I'm taking the 30 every single time. Because you didn't predict that I got to also dodge lightning too. That's the thing. You know, right. I'm going to be that 1 in a million chance where suddenly I'm the Flash and I could just dodge lightning. So the other thing that I want to bring up here, similar to what the Lakers got, the player Luke Kennard, he was very, very good and very, very efficient at 3-point shooting, right? They also have a player on their team like that too. The Knicks, I'm pretty sure it might be Mikal Bridges, actually. They had like one of the best corner 3 shooting players in the league, actually. And when you're talking about being an efficient 3-point shooter, where you're efficiently being able to make those things happen in various clutch moments, that's going to be very good for the Knicks too. I mean, you have players like Mitchell Robinson, not as good as Karl Anthony Towns, but as we saw in a lot of the Knicks wins, actually, if Karl Anthony Towns had to get subbed out, he's been able to kind of pull his weight a little bit. He's no slouch, but it's been like it would be like going from Shaq to like me on defense, actually. You know, probably not the same, but it's a guy where, because have you noticed that in a lot of games, dude, like where they swap out one of their big guys and then the other big guy's supposed to go in, it's like, man, you are just not as good. It's like, wow, this is the reason why, guys, people pay top dollar for nice big man. This is what they do around here. So that's the thing too, is you have Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, and Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges. They need Anobi. They need Jose Alvarado. They need Jordan Clarkson. They need
the whole team.
The problem here is if their year starts going in the playoffs like it was last year and it's just Jalen Brunson and maybe some Karl Anthony Towns, then we know at some point it's going to be over. Because like I said earlier, the Knicks owner said they want to win the championship. They even had that stupid thing we had talked about when you first came on the show in your first appearance, where they didn't want to raise the NBA Cup trophy. And my argument to that was like, you should raise that because you're not winning the entire thing. Like, come on, I don't want to be that guy. I was like, hey, I'm happy you guys won after not winning anything for like 70 years. Spike Lee's probably happy. He's backflipping down the streets of, the Bronx, actually. But let's be honest, you guys, they aren't going to win the entire thing. There's just way better teams than them. Nuggets, Spurs, Pistons, and OKC, those are 4 better teams than them right now. They, at most, if they can pull off a few upsets, will probably lose in the conference finals like last year. Maybe. It just depends on if the other people that are there for Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns show up as much as they do. And there's been some nights where Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson are not synced up, and they're not making good plays together. Do I think it's going to happen in over a 7-game series? No. I do think this is going to go 7 games. I'm predicting Knicks win. I'm predicting Knicks do win, but it's going to be 4-3. I think this is going to be actually a very, very closer series than people think. Now, to be fair, it could be a 4-0, and then I'm just, on Twitter being like, hey, you don't know how to predict games. Well, I'm sorry, man. It's called a prediction. It's a 1 in 10 odds or something.
I'd be very surprised if it was 4-0, 4-1. I think this is definitely 4-2, somebody in that range. But again, maybe it is just as simple as this Hawks team played a little above their level. We've got this Knicks team that's been, building to this point in the season all year. And maybe it is a 4-1 series, but probably, it's one of those things where I won't be surprised if the Knicks win this comfortably, but I also won't be surprised if Atlanta somehow sneaks it out.
Yep. Also, like when people have to understand when it comes to like being where the Knicks are, I mean, because I know people are like, why can't we be happy with the 50-game regular season? Keep in mind, you can. That's actually a very good thing. There's not. Keep in mind, guys, like looking at the Lakers, JJ Redick is the second coach in Lakers history to have a 50, plus win regular season back-to-back since like Phil Jackson. The key here is what News brought up. Their owner quite literally said pretty much verbatim, it's championship or bust. That puts expectations on it. Then you get Mike Brown. You win your first trophy you haven't won in a very, very long time. Guys, they last won their trophy before all of us were even alive. So, and keep in mind, they've not really did anything outside of that. but between winning that last trophy and this one currently, there's been like nothing there. I mean, they've had Linsanity, and they had like Phil Jackson at one point, but there's really been nothing there with the Knicks. And I understand the pressure from the owner. He finally wants to lift a modern trophy, right? But you have to be realistic here. I know he has to say that because he's the owner and he's paying the money. But it's like, Pistons are better. Guys, Pistons beat the living shit out of them every single time they played. It wasn't even like games where it went up to like overtime and maybe Jalen Brunson missed a free throw. No, they got completely annihilated, guys. It wasn't fair. They played OKC, struggled against OKC. They actually struggled against the Cavs too. They struggle against a lot of the more better and slightly below them teams, actually. That's the issue they have. Now, in a 7-game series, it's not going to matter because, like you said, you're prepping for one team several games, right? I do hope the Knicks win because I got a lot of fans who are Knicks fans, but winning the whole thing, I will never be sniffing that amount of crack with you. You are not winning. I'm not that delusional for you guys. I'm glad you guys won your trophy. Glad you guys can have that, but you are not winning the entire thing. And you would be, unless you're literally a Knicks fan, there's no way to believe you'd win against any of these teams, right? That are above them right now. Well,
especially all of them in a row, right? You don't just have to beat the Celtics or the Pistons. You have to beat the Celtics, then the Pistons, and then whoever comes out of the West. It's one of those things, right? Yeah, you have to start to pile it all together, really look at the past. So, I think it's going to be an interesting playoffs for the Knicks. Could I see them winning the East? Absolutely. Am I expecting that to happen? Absolutely not.
Let's go to the Western Conference here. Because like we said before, Pistons win whoever they play, and Celtics most likely win who they play. The Western, we'll start with the Trailblazers. Suns won. If the Suns lose this, I wouldn't be surprised. You want to know why, guys? This team literally is the embodiment of what I hate sometimes in teams. Start out strong. This team has the worst fourth quarter percentage in the entire league. Every single time they're up in the first two quarters after halftime, for some reason, it's like that doggo meme. Little doggo, then big doggo. They're big doggo first two quarters, then they're little doggo. They've been this way for since like beginning of January, actually. Ever since January, something in their team is just, I'm not saying they had like issues with each other, but they're always starting strong in the first half and the second half falling off. Guys, it's been a lot of games. It's not just like MSK one or it's been a lot of them. It's more than like 10. That's a problem that you're going to have in playoffs because they start out hot, then start losing. They're not mentally all there as a team to just keep their lead. I don't think the Trailblazers are good either. I don't, but it's like if the Trailblazers can start a little bit slow and then kind of just overlap the Suns, given how bad they are in the second half of these games, there's a good chance they move on too. Now, are they going to beat the Spurs? Obviously not, guys. They're going to get absolutely clobbered. It would be like Shaq throwing himself onto that guy after dunking and swinging his nuts on him. That would be what the Spurs would do against the Trailblazers. but to be fair, like News is going to say, these guys making it to here is going to be an absolute shellacking. just an absolute shellacking.
Yeah.
I like Devin Booker too.
Yeah, whoever wins this game is just going to get run over by the Spurs. I think I still have a lot of respect for the Suns. I know you've talked about the last couple months, but they've had a lot of injuries. Booker's missed serious time. Right. Dylan Brooks has missed a lot of time. When fully healthy, it's a solid defensive team. You've got a guy in Devin Booker who is great at the end of games. I think a lot of this from a matchup perspective comes down to Donovan Clingan, the center for the Portland Trailblazers, and his ability to control these games because Phoenix has some good guards, some solid wings, but at the center position, they're really lacking. And a guy like Clingan can do some really important stuff, not just scoring the ball, but creating extra possessions. One of the big things about basketball is how do you create extra possessions? There's two ways to do that. Force more turnovers than you have. Get the other team to turn the ball over more than you do. You get extra possessions. And then offensive rebounds. And Clingan averages about 4 or 5 offensive rebounds per game. And in a game that I think is going to be pretty slow and ugly, that matters quite a bit. Now the Suns are 4.5-point favorites in this game. So again, the market expects them to win by, 5 or more points, but they put it at about a 60%, 58% chance the Suns win this game. That feels about right to me. I think it'll be really interesting. I'm honestly excited to see this game. It should be a lot of fun to watch. But at the end of the day, this Western Conference play-in tournament especially, I think in the East, the Hornets, if maybe the Sixers can get healthy, can do some interesting stuff in those series. whoever comes out of the West is just going to get absolutely crushed by the Thunder and the Spurs. So I expect the Suns to win. I have them picked here, and then
they should be winning.
Portland probably beats the winner of 9-10, but the Clippers are still pretty solid. I'm curious to see if Kawhi can raise his level.
It's crazy because people who kind of didn't watch a lot of the later Clipper games remember that like their big turnaround. Guys, the Trailblazers beat them like not even just a few days ago. Actually, if the Trailblazers actually beat the Suns, dude, Dylan Brooks, he might be going back to jail. Oh my God. Because the Suns, you have Jalen Green, Devin Booker, Colin Gillespie. They have some really solid players, though. It's just really unfortunate that they always seem to just fall off in the second half, though. That's just unfortunate. But if they could just be like, hey, guys, hey, we're not bad. We're just choke artists. Okay. Turn on some Eminem, Lose Yourself. I'm joking. I'm joking, guys. I'm all joking. So the thing is, because this is my dilemma with them, is the fact that they're potentially probably going to blue ball me right now. It's like the eating of a razor cake. They're going to make me eat razor cake. I predict them to win. Then the opposite happens. They lose. And then they lose in the same fashion they've been losing all these games for like the last few months. Because I remember those Warrior games they've had where they could have easily just won and they just threw them away. They had the games against even the Lakers, actually. The few games they played against the Lakers, they were 3-1 against the Lakers. Even the one they just played, the game they just recently played, should have won that one, threw it away too. They're just a throw machine. No pun for it being a basketball. Why are they throwing? I just can't understand. It's like 30 plus games they keep doing this. I don't know. How, as a coach, how do you fix that? Hey guys, I know you're not bad. Why do you keep doing this though? And you can only yell at them so much for it's just in their head. They don't officially think they can close games out. How do you fix that though? And that's bad because let's say hypothetically they do beat the Trailblazers. That's not gonna against this person you said. That's not gonna matter. They're gonna just wipe the floor with you. So if you have a bad mental in closing games that are regular season, I can't even predict in my brain you're gonna close out games in the playoffs though. That's the thing with them. They don't have bad players though. These are fine players on paper. They should be here, but it's like, God, they're the ultimate blue ball team. I hate them.
It's again, like you said, there's enough talent here. We understand kind of where they are, but it is not a great team. Devin Booker, I think, is a great player, but there's not another guy really besides them. Dylan Brooks brings a lot of energy. He is just not as good as maybe he looks on paper. So I think, again, at the end of games, they just don't have that sort of one guy besides Booker. The other teams know that, so they sort of build a wall around him. And then you are forcing guys like Jalen Green, who has been a letdown, Dylan Brooks, Jordan Goodwin, Mark Williams, Grayson Allen, Colin Gillespie, who are all better at basketball than I ever will be at anything, but they are not the guys you want with the ball in their hand at the end of games, especially to create. I think this is a team that during the offseason, I think they need to go out, find a real point guard, someone who can really get the ball up, get things going, and maybe tighten up the center position a little bit. But again, like we keep saying, I don't really care which one of these four teams ends up wherever.
True. Hats
off. Way to go, guys. Maybe you made the playoffs. Maybe you didn't. Doesn't matter.
All right. Clippers, Warriors, kind of isn't this a rematch of last year? Didn't this happen last year? I feel like this happened last year. No. Warriors faced Memphis last year in this tournament. Yeah. Clippers were facing Denver.
No, Memphis didn't make the playoffs last year, I don't think. Hold on one second.
Didn't they lose to OKC last year, I think? Or
they played the Rockets, and then they beat the Rockets in a 7-game series, and then lost, I think, to the Timberwolves in the second
You're right. My bad. I was thinking about a different match. All right, so Clippers, Warriors. Okay, so this is another weird
Warriors
one.
made it into the play-in tournament, beat the Rockets in one of the just most gut-wrenchingly awful playoff series you've ever seen, and then lost to the Timberwolves, who beat the Lakers in the first round.
So, as you guys know, Clippers started out very bad, 6-21, turned it around. They did end up losing Zubac and James Harden, but they still managed to finally get here against the Warriors. The Warriors who've suffered every injury probably known to man. I swear their players just walk on that court. They're just completely going to fall apart at this point. So do you think the Clippers win this? Because I think they should be favored, though. The Warriors aren't really good at all, honestly. They're kind of really only here because the teams below the Warriors, guys, were just that much worse. That's really the only reason why they're actually here. Because the next team below them was like, Memphis? And they're complete trash, actually.
Yeah, there's only 10 teams in the Western Conference, and 5 of them, the Pelicans, Mavericks, Grizzlies, Kings, and Jazz, are awful and really weren't trying to win. Now, the Pelicans sort of were trying to win, but they just stink. So, four teams are bad and we're trying to lose. But it's a spot where Kawhi Leonard has had probably one of his best seasons in his career. It's just a shame that it's not going to end up mattering quite a bit here. I think that the Clippers probably win this game, especially the way Kerr is talking about. He's not really going to try to push Curry to play any extra minutes. A lot of times in the playoffs, folks,
I remember that, yeah.
These guys in the regular season play about 30 minutes, and you try to push them to 36, 37, 38, sometimes 40 minutes a game. But Kerr has talked about the fact that he's not really going to do that just to try to win this one game, whereas the Clippers are the better team. Again, they're favored. The market makes the Clippers 4.5-point favorite, so they expect them to win by 5 or more points. They give them about a 66% chance, and I agree with that. I was pretty close to a lot of those numbers. Again, the best player in this game is almost certainly going to be Kawhi Leonard. Darius Garland has been really fun. I think if you're the Clippers here, you're just trying to win this game, give yourself a chance to maybe, get a couple extra playoff games. But again, I don't think any of these 4 teams honestly really care.
But it's an upward trajectory, dude, because the Clippers usually go out in the first round. This year, they're going to see, we're working on things here. Now, next year, they're going out in the 3rd round. Then next year, the 4th round. Then they win the whole thing. That's how we progress these things now moving forward. You just got to lose gracefully each year. So I want you guys to see the standings here just for a moment here. This is how bad the bottom half of both of these conferences are. The New Orleans Pelicans were unbelievably bad, but for some reason decided to start winning some games toward the back end of the season. And keep in mind, they were the dead last
Again,
team.
just look at the difference between 11 and 12. The Warriors won 37 games. The Pelicans only won 26. The Warriors won 45% of their games. The Pelicans won less than 32% of their games. That is a massive gap.
And the Kings, as we spoke last time you were here, are you really trying to win when you say freaking Westbrook is your captain? It's like, come on, stop it.
Well, that's the sad part with the Kings. I think they really are trying to win. They're just the stupidest run team in the league. It's just...
And the Jazz are just out here just, it's like what the Kings...
They've been trying to lose all season. They want AJ DeBonta. They need AJ DeBonta like you and I need air.
Yeah, I think it's like, I don't know if you have kids. They have these saying these days where like we're just vibing out here. That's how the Jazz feel when they play. They're just out there vibing. If they win, they win. They don't care if they do or not. It's so awful to see half these teams tank. I don't even know if Memphis is trying to tank. I think they're just tanking. Stuck. Well,
no, they're tanking.
Right. Yeah. Like I feel bad for Cooper Flag.
15 guys out for the last 2 months. It's just ridiculous.
I feel bad for Cooper Flag. He really does deserve to be on a better team. His rookie season, he's not even going to make playoffs. And keep in mind, nothing to do with him. He's been absolutely, utterly amazing. You can't win with most.
A lot of the guys that you're looking at here on the screen, folks, did not play most of the season. Let's just be clear.
Also,
Kyrie Irving did not play a single game.
Yes,
Derek Lively did not play a single game. Daniel Gafford missed most of the season. Max Christie and Najee Marshall have been in and out. Chris Middleton is not nearly the same guy you might remember from the Bucks. Anthony Davis was on this team at one point and basically barely played. It's just a disastrous. Yeah, it's just a disastrous team. And Flag's been incredible. I think they're going to be fine next year. I think with Kyrie back next year and a real point guard, all of a sudden it sort of opens up. I do hope Derek Lively can stay healthy. That guy's bones just seem to be made of glass, unfortunately.
Right. It's just right when if I'm Cooper Flag and my coach is like, hey, your shooting guard is Max Christie. All right, just next season. I'm not. It's the problem. Also, guys, Klay Thompson. We're like, is that the guy that won those championships? Not the same person at all.
No, I really like Klay Thompson. Was honestly arguably a better shooter than Steph Curry at certain moments, and has some incredible records. Had just a really bad Achilles injury followed by a calf injury. Had never really recovered from that. Can still make threes with anybody, but is not at all what he used to be. He should be a 6-man at this point, really.
It is actually disgusting how badly these teams tanked. And the fact that the New Orleans Pelicans actually lapped the Jazz and Kings, despite starting, I would argue, 8 times worse than they did. That's actually skillful. We have to applaud the Kings and the Jazz. That's actually skill. You got lapped by a team you started actually way better than. At one point, the Pelicans straight up had 3 wins. 3. And that was for months. That takes actual skill.
Yeah, I mean, the big difference is the Pelicans are trying to win. So again, for those who might not know, the way the NBA draft works, the draft is how you acquire, rookies and things like that. The worse records you have, the better chance you have of getting the number one pick. Well, the Pelicans don't have their draft pick. The Pelicans have no reason to lose games. They're not going to improve their life, where all those other teams really do. So the Jazz, and that's one of those teams, Utah, I'm actually really excited for them next year. I think that, having Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen, and Jaren Jackson Jr. together is really exciting, especially with some of those young guys. But yeah, this season, like you said, it's just been really gross what some of these teams have done. But again, we don't have to worry about that because we're here. This is really what stinking matters.
Yes, this is the postseason where, God forbid, I just watch another Kings game. I feel bad for those people that are given Kings season tickets. Those are about as worth as those coupons you used to get out of those machines when you were a little kid. That's about what those are worth, honestly. So, now we're going to get into some fun matchups here in the Western Conference. You have the biggest one, obviously, which is, actually both of these are big because, last night, people were saying, well, the Spurs threw, so they did not have to face Denver the first round. Guys, I'm going to be honest here. It doesn't matter either way. You were going through OKC or Denver at some point anyways to win. It doesn't, being second, okay, they're going to beat up on the Suns or the Trailblazers. They're still going to face a really hard team out of checks notes, the Rockets, Denver or OKC. You're going to face one of them at some point. Now, if you're Spurs, you probably want to face OKC. They have had their number this year, actually. The problem with the Spurs is the Nuggets have their number, actually. Or no, it's five vice versa. No, Nuggets have the Spurs number. Spurs have OKC's number. So when you're looking at Denver versus Timberwolves have the Nuggets number. Yeah. Do you think the Nuggets win against the Timberwolves? Think it's possible?
Yeah, I do. There's, you look at the matchups in the past, I think a lot of those come down to injuries for Denver and how kind of tough their season was. Whereas the Nuggets actually the last week or so have gotten really healthy. And the most important guy here, again, not Nikola Jokic is the best offensive NBA player I've ever seen. On the offensive side of the game, as someone who grew up watching Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan's the best player of all time, and someone who watched peak LeBron James, Nikola Jokic is the most brilliant offensive player I've ever seen. Jamal Murray, incredible. The two of them together has been the best two-man game in the league for years and will continue to be. But Aaron Gordon is the guy that makes this all work. It's his ability defensively to guard above and below his position, offensively to always be there, rolling around, making the right cut so Jokic can find him, which is huge. And everyone is finally healthy on this team, and they are really starting to click. Cam Johnson, who they acquired in the offseason, had a really rough start to the year, is finally starting to find his form. Peyton Watson has stepped up. Christian Braun is making threes. I just think this team is really devastating. And if you're Minnesota, Anthony Edwards is hurt. He is hurt. He's going to play through an injury for this playoff series. He is not 100%. That's going to be really tough. Jaden McDaniels, a really important player for them, a wing player who is their best defender by far in terms of being on the perimeter, has been really tough. And I wish Minnesota had a chance to be healthy here, then the series would be more interesting. But I think Denver does win this series. And then it's just, again, we're going to get to see, it's just going to be an incredible run.
Yeah, because even with Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert, I just don't think, I don't know. I do probably have Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon favored the longer the series runs. Guys, I know a lot of people aren't talking about Jamal Murray because the MVP candidates for the season have been utterly outstanding. Jamal Murray has had consecutive weeks where he's going 35 plus points a game. There's nights he's had 45 plus point games. The biggest thing, like you said for me, it's not Jokic or Jokic, as they say. God, Lord, freaking Europeans, man. Or take over the game. Fucking Luka and him. God dang it, man. Jamal Murray cannot have a bad night. Some of the games they won, he's had some really uncharacteristically bad games. If he doesn't have a lot of these random, uncharacteristically bad games, the Nuggets just kind of gentlemen sweep this, in my opinion, honestly. You have two players on the team pumping out straight up plus 45-point games here. You guys haven't been really looking at Jamal Murray a lot because, Jokic and other players that are considered MVPs have been kind of taking the conversation. Jamal Murray's had an utterly fantastic season, honestly. And Aaron Gordon coming back, looks like he hadn't even stopped playing the game. He was like, all right, cool, I'll just plug and play. I'll just plug it in before. I think the Nuggets win. I think Nuggets are they should be favored because I just don't.
They are.
Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle, I don't mind them. I know Shaq doesn't like Rudy Gobert all that much. I don't mind these guys. I think Anthony Edwards is good. I think these guys are just better, though. And that's just kind of sucks because I don't think the Wolves are bad, but I think that this team is just slightly better, actually.
I mean, the Nuggets have the best offense in the NBA, one of the best offenses in NBA history. This Minnesota defense is not nearly as sharp as they've been in the past. And again, they're just not 100%. So at the end of the day, this Denver team just has so many more options and so many more ways to attack this series. I'm sure that Anthony Edwards is going to find a way to win one of these games on his own. Yeah. But again, they've got to win 4 out of 7. I think Denver is pretty comfortably favored here, and they are. You know, the betting odds give them about an 80% chance, and I agree with that.
All right, now we get to the one that a lot of us want us to go over. You have Lakers versus Rockets. Good Lord.
I noticed your whole mood just dropped. I wonder why.
Because I did this thing last year too, where I said basically, I'll see if the Lakers win pending the first game. And when the first game of them against the Wolves, they got absolutely blown out. I was like, you know what? It's over. I didn't even think they were going to win, even though they actually
loved it.
I was like, people were like, you can't just go after one game. You know what? I actually agree. But when you have games like that, why would I believe having a game like that would make you win? Keep in mind, if I'm supposed to believe what you guys say, I need to see them trying to win, though. That's what that logic predicates on. I see them trying to win. I can see them winning the series. Not last year. Now, the difference this year is they're not facing the Timberwolves this time around. They're facing, Houston Rockets KD. So, problem here with a lot of the stuff with the Lakers goes like this. So, Luka and Austin Reeves, regular seasons ended due to injuries. Luka pulled his hamstring against OKC, and Austin was ruled out basically a day later. So the Lakers lost their 2 best players basically back-to-back days, and you saw their fans on Twitter. They just almost wanted to give up at life. I was like, bro, don't make me want to delete.
It was tragic.
That's just the most tragic thing to happen toward a team of, you'd say this caliber, but that's debatable, I would say. But losing an MVP like Luka toward the very end of the season like that, Austin Reeves, who's been very good for the Lakers too, just back-to-back days was just very unfortunate. And even people understand they're not out of the woods yet when it comes to the Rocket series, because even if, let's say hypothetically they win this, which is also debatable, Luka and Austin come in the next round. So let's say if they win this, Luka and Austin come back next round. They're not going to be here this round. And keep in mind, the Rockets themselves had their issues with KD. They all had their problems with each other. It looks like they're actually starting to hit their stride toward the end of the season, actually. They had a very, very impressive win streak. Some of the games got a little sloppy here and there, but some of the players really, really coming alive. Şengün, you have Amen Thompson, Reed Shepherd. A lot of these guys, or you have Steven Adams. He's still there, right? Steven Adams is still there. Started playing way better, actually. And the Rockets have looked better recently than the Lakers have recently. And keep in mind, I guess you could say that is pending Luka and Austin not being there. But if you guys haven't watched the latest Rockets games, they're not bad. They're fine. It's a solid team, But the Lakers, when I say they're a solid team, I don't know either. Because what I brought up with the Knicks earlier, that's the problem the Lakers have. JJ Redick getting utterly so mad. They start out winning games, 25 plus points ahead. Then just for some reason, all of them are just, I don't know, just vibing, playing no defense, and just getting utterly just destroyed, And the problem that you have with this series, like we brought up, there's no Luka or Austin. So who's going to help me here? Let's go look at these Laker players. Who's going to help me here? Well,
you're not going to be happy with this exercise.
Well, I mean, there's players here. There's going to be basketball played.
There are professional basketball players on this team.
The ball will be dribbled. Okay. There might be a lot of shooting, maybe not a lot of scoring. At one point in the season, even when they had Luka, guys, this team missed every 3 that teams would give them. It was, I don't think it's ever happened. So basically when every shot they were given, they made it, but every shot they had any pressure on, they didn't make any. That's terrible. That means they have no defense. That's what it means. Or teams don't respect them enough or think they're going to be efficiently at shooting, so they kind of just let them shoot whatever they kind of want because it's either one of the 2 things you get. Now, LeBron, I will say, he started out a little inconsistent. He's actually not been that bad, really. Overall, he's had some bad games here and there. He's not been that bad, but he's only averaging 28, 30. Not bad. It's not bad. But you need that in a 7-game, in a stretch 7-game series. Is he going to be the guy to really, really pull it out? I want him to be that guy. I do. But look at Bronny? No. Luke Kennard, solidly at 3-point shooting, but nothing else there. DeAndre
Going to be a
Ayton.
lot of Jared Vanderbilt, too much Jake LaRavia, a lot of Marcus Smart, Maxi Kleber on this team. And it's one of those things where LeBron can still be good. But the problem is for the Lakers to win this series, LeBron's going to have to play 40-plus minutes every game and be in total control. Now, this is a series that's going to – where would I say this? So let me explain it a bit. But I don't think the Lakers can win, but I think the Rockets can lose. This Rockets team is not – there's something wrong. Something is wrong in the locker room. They are not a cohesive unit. Ime Udoka has really struggled with this team all season. The offense for them, especially at the end of games, has been awful. And I know, like you said, the Rockets have been playing better, but against bad teams, they're one of these squads that have not beaten a good team in a long time. And as bad as this Lakers roster is, this series is going to stink. This is going to be ugly. These basketball games are going to be clunky and slow and hard to watch. This is going to be ugly, ugly basketball, folks. Do not get it. Do not turn this on thinking you're going to see something that you're going to love. And what that means to me is if the Lakers and JJ Redick can find a way to slow this game down, which, given the way they've been playing zone defense, is possible, given the way LeBron arguably one of the greatest basketball thinkers of all time, knows how to control a game. If they could take these games and really turn them into like 105, 103 slugfest, exactly what the Warriors did to this Rockets team last year, now all of a sudden you're in a situation where the Rockets, who are objectively a more talented team at almost every position, they are a more talented team, this Lakers team, is in a moment at the end of games where they're going to be asked to do what they do the worst, which is find a way to score late in games. I can't remember exactly what game it was, but the Rockets, it was against this Lakers team. But Luka and Reeves were still playing. The Rockets had like a 12-point lead with 4.5 minutes left and did not score a single basket for the rest of the game. Now, they made some free throws, but if you go watch some of these possessions, they're awful. They're just, it's Kevin Durant dribbling up, dribbling, waiting, trying to get a screen or a switch or something. There's just, this Rockets team doesn't have a point guard. They don't have a center. You mentioned Steven Adams. He is out. He has been out for the season since about a month. And they're playing Şengün. He's more of a power forward, though, and they don't have a point guard. Coming into the season in training camp, Fred VanVleet blew out, I think it was his knee, and they don't have a point guard. That's it. They don't have a center. And Shepard's solid, but for whatever reason, Udoka just won't play him. So it's one of those things where if these games are as ugly as I expect them to be, I'm pretty sure that the Rockets win. I give the Rockets like an 80% chance of winning this series, honestly, even higher. However, there's just a small little part of me in my gut, the person that has watched basketball all year that understands what a pressure cooker these moments are, especially with all the pressure on Houston, a team that's expected to win this series comfortably. If things get weird, they get a little weird at the end. I feel more comfortable in trusting LeBron and JJ Redick at the end of close games than I do trusting Kevin Durant and Ime Udoka. And to win a 7-game series, you only have to win 4 of 7, folks. You just have to win the first game and then every other. And if the Lakers can do that, maybe. And again, Michael, I know what you're saying. The Lakers almost certainly lose this series. I'm not betting the Lakers to win this series.
Don't take this.
Absolutely not.
Does that. That's just
absolutely not. Hard. Yeah. Well, anyway, but the Rockets are vulnerable here. This is something, if you're watching these games and you are a betting person, if we get to the end of these games, the fourth quarter, and things are close, I'm going to be live betting the Lakers for sure. I really worry about this Houston team. They are a front runner. It's tough. It really is. So, and it's a bummer. That's really what comes down to. Like you were saying, Reeves and Doncic get hurt basically in 24 hours. That's awful. They went from being a team that, if Luka and Reeves were healthy for all 7 games, the Lakers crushed the Rockets, crushed them in this series. It's a blowout. And then they almost certainly lose to the Thunder, but maybe they could be competitive, surprise them a little bit. You've got Doncic and stuff like that. There would be more pageantry. Now it's just this bummer of a series. We've got a Rockets team that's been kind of mediocre all season that is just not fun to watch. And now you've got a Lakers team that's is going to be playing Marcus Smart and Jake LaRavia 35 minutes a game. I mean,
oh, yeah, because another thing I wanted to add to your point is KD, actually. Guys, if you guys haven't been hearing what KD potentially has been involved in with maybe hypothetically in Minecraft, allegedly shit-talking his teammates, he's not – I think he is the ultimate – how would I say this, though? Damn, there's a way of saying this where
he's not a great teammate. He is someone who, when you're on an NBA team, you want someone that brings positivity, that is trying to make everybody better. And he is someone that's been a veteran, and he has earned the right. He has earned the right He is one of the greatest NBA players of all time. If your life depended on a human being making a basket, Kevin Durant is arguably the top choice for that. But he is not someone that makes the teammates around him a lot better. He is not someone that really contributes to the teammates around him and often complains. And as someone who's on the internet talking about these guys and whether the story about him and his burners is true or not, publicly, he is just ragged on these guys. So it's a toxic locker room. There is not a sense of cohesion in there. And I think there's also problems with KD. I think there's problems with Udoka. I just don't think that's a happy group. And when you're playing a team for 2 weeks, when you're in the playoffs and you're supposed to win and you're this team that everyone expected to win the series and things start to get a little weird, the cracks form, things really fall apart. And again, we saw this last year. We saw this exact same thing last year when the Warriors beat this Rockets team. The Rockets were better than the Warriors. The Rockets had a whole week off to prepare for the Warriors and lost.
Yeah, I wanted to just bring up something here that happens with a lot of players that have like KD's personality is, God, what's that old saying in sports? Winning cures all, or winning is everything.
Winning cures all. Yep.
Yeah, that's how KD. I've always seen him. If he's winning, oh man, this guy's.
Everybody looks good when they're winning. Everybody looks good when they're winning, baby.
That's the problem. If KD's winning, oh, he's great. Probably the most awesome teammate. Probably loves this guy. Oh, we're losing. Oh, all my flaws are showing. Ah, shit. Crap. That's the thing is, if they start out this series, let's say they go 2-0 down. Let's say hypothetically 2-0 down. I don't know if I trust him to not be someone that'll mentally implode his team. I don't know.
If the Lakers win these first 2 games, the Houston Rockets might just quit. They might just not even show up. Durant is going to start saying some wild shit. It's going to be bad. It's going to be really bad. You're going to have Udoka saying some wild shit.
I like Şengün. I like Eamon Thompson, but with KD, right. the problem here is I think his mood negatively affects the team really bad if they're really bad if they're losing. So I've seen other players too. Now keep in mind, there's different ways your negative attitude influences teammates depending on personalities, who they are. Like when the Lakers, you can tell after their post-game interviews, it doesn't look pretty, but it doesn't look like things get to the point where they want to throw each other out of windows. Whenever I saw Rockets post-game interviews with the players, it looked like they straight up wanted to yeet themselves out of windows after being next to that guy. Keep in mind, I'm not saying KD's a bad guy. I'm not saying he's a bad person overall, but that's the atmosphere they're creating on their team. So if the Lakers start off the series, like you said, 2-0, I think they're straight up just mentally burned out and done. I don't trust them enough. Like you said before, just a few weeks ago, we saw them play against the Lakers, and for some reason they were winning the game, and then for some reason stopped playing, as if like they had a disagreement with their coach, disagreement on who they're going to put in, disagreement on how they're going to actually play the game. For some reason, just stopped. It was so weird. I was like, what the fuck just happened to these guys? It looked like someone just, I'm not saying it's happened. Looked like someone got told that their family member got killed or something. Like, it looked like they stripped just, how do you, keep in mind, guys, if you have an argument with your coach or teammates, because we saw the player cams, remember? They're all just like this. If you have an argument, just a single argument, a game that you're winning, keep in mind, you're not losing this game. A game that you're winning and you implode that hard, there's no way I could trust you to win. Now, the problem here is the Lakers function like that way too. The problem with the Lakers is the Rockets have better skill, like you said, and weaker mental. The Lakers might have stronger mental, but weaker team with weaker players, though. This is where, like, we're getting with this. It's like, what's going to collide here? You have better players, weaker mental, better mental, weaker players. Shit. Fuck. This is the ultimate peanut butter jelly. I hate this. Because, like I agree with you. DeAndre Ayton in 7 games. Hachimura in 7 games. Bronny James. Oh, God. Oh, it hurts. It hurts.
Yeah, and again, it's got to go back to sort of the main point. Anyone who's played basketball or watched basketball, energy is huge. When the ball's moving and everyone's feeling good, everyone plays better. It's something that every great NBA player has had to learn and every great NBA team has had. And you watch this Rockets team, the ball sticks in people's hands. People aren't cutting and moving. There's just a bad energy there. And the level of talent is still so stinking good. You know, that the Rockets almost certainly win the series. Again, I give the Rockets like an 85% chance of winning the series. The betting markets give an 85% chance of winning the series. It's just that little part of me. There's that little part of me that can see exactly how this goes, or maybe the Lakers win a couple games or make this really weird. And again, in foxhole moments, if you will, I trust the Lakers more than the Rockets.
Oh, God. Like I said before last year, guys, game one. After I see game one and and pretty much game two, I'll give you guys my answer. The problem here is that is such a coin flip series. Like that series is the same thing as the Knicks Hawks one. It's just flipped differently, actually. Well,
which series again?
Sorry. The Knicks Hawks series. Yeah. Do you think it's very similar to this one too? Like you could see a world where
similar to Lakers Rockets?
No, I mean I don't know. That's what I was thinking, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It's just you could see a world where the Lakers just lose it. But then again, you can see a world where the Rockets just completely lose it too. Oh, god damn. I hate playoffs. I'm not betting, man.
It's not nearly. It's again, the Knicks are a lot more reliable than the Rockets, and the Hawks are a lot more talented than the Lakers roster at this point. You do have the parts where maybe Luka sneaks back in, but he'll be less than 100%. I don't think we'll see Reeves at all in the first round. So it is unique, and again, it's the one series that I will probably be not watching as much live. I'll probably be just like watching the score, and if the game's close to the fourth quarter, I'll pop it open and maybe bet the Lakers live. But those are games I'll be watching replays of the next morning.
Those are the highlights. That's what you do. The highlights of those games. Yeah. Now, to be fair, God, it's hard because I'm preparing for disappointment. But I expect the better. No way, that's actually the wrong saying. You prepare for the worst, or I forgot how the saying goes. God damn it, the Lakers always do this to me. Fucking hell. But
prepare for the worst, hope for the best.
Does that work for the Lakers? Does that work?
What other choice do you have, MSK? You're not going to expect them to win. I think, again, like you said, this is probably going to be ugly. This is going to be a quick series, most likely. Again, you're asking LeBron James to drag Jake LaRavia and Luke Kennard and DeAndre Ayton and Marcus Smart and Rui Hachimura and Jared Vanderbilt and, God forbid, his son and Nick Smith Jr. to win basketball games. I mean, here's the other thing. If the Lakers somehow win this series, what an achievement by LeBron James. Good Lord.
Oh, it's even worse. Guys, we talked about the coach of like Rockets and KD's potential drama and all that shit going there. JJ Redick quite literally had a post-game interview where they were asked, what's going on with DeAndre Ayton? He literally said he can't catch the ball. Oh, God.
He stinks. He's so bad.
He's like, yeah, DeAndre's kind of been failing at catching the ball. Jake LaRavia missed 3 free throws after he got fouled. And he was like, go figure it out, bro. Oh, my God. But hey, keep in mind, the mental wasn't entirely imploding because they were facing off against OKC. So it was kind of expected they lose anyway. But it's just, that's the problem we have here. It's like, this is literally, like I said earlier, if whoever loses the series, they're firing their coach. It's probably over. I don't know if JJ's straight up out, but you'd be on the chopping block.
Yeah, JJ's job is safe. I think a lot of this, he gets a big pass because there's no Luka, there's no Reeves. Basically, you send him to war without, his very best soldiers here. So that's tough. Where again, if the Rockets lose this series, Udoka is probably fired.
You think KD leaves, or does he have a no trade clause in his contract?
I don't know if he has a no trade clause. He's just going to be hard to move. It's one of those things where it's like, I just don't know how he ends up leaving that situation. I don't think he retires either. Okay.
Yeah.
I think again, if you're looking at this Rocket season, it's just like, we were so close. Like if we had Fred VanVleet, this probably all fits together and works. He is the guy that brings the right energy on the floor in the locker room and things like that. So I think if you're the Rockets, maybe change the coach to sort of change the vibe a little bit. But if you take the same roster, put Fred VanVleet back on it, maybe a couple tweaks and things like that in the offseason, it should be back to being a really good team.
Hell yeah. I experienced heartbreak once for a sport, never going to happen again. I don't know how these diehard fans endure heartbreak after heartbreak every year. But hey, you guys know.
Stupidest part about me, folks, if lobotomy worked, if that eternal sunshine of the spotless mind surgery or treatment or whatever worked, I would have my Sixers fandom removed from my life. It is the only team I'm a fan of. It's the only team that I care about irrationally, and it is totally irrational. I've cried. I have cried over Sixers games several times.
Yeah, same thing with the
bunch of grown men I'll never meet.
Like, hey, when the Eagles lost to the Chiefs a few years ago in the Super Bowl, after we barely won one in general against the Patriots, I was like, man, we probably threw our only chance away of winning a second title. And then, later on, we won another one. So, but that's the fun part, though. I think that's the fun of it. Seeing your team at their highest and lowest. Now, if you're a fan of one of these teams that have never been good, I mean, I think Warren is a fan of the Portland Trailblazers. that's just hell because there's nothing there.
They were good in the 70s and 80s. Bill Walton is really underrated and stuff. But again, I don't know if he was alive for that. Probably not. Whereas again, I've seen pretty much every team in Philadelphia. I've seen the Phillies win World Series, the Eagles win Super Bowls, the Flyers make Stanley Cups. The Sixers have never made it even to the conference finals. I guess I get to see Allen Iverson beat the Lakers once.
Well,
that was pretty
last
spectacular.
time, 2001. It's the last time they got that far. Actually, insane, utterly disgusting. Like, or to be fair, you can't be anything worse than a Bulls fan because the Bulls have been relegated to play-ins, just getting knocked out by Miami.
Kings fan. You could be a Kings fan. That's the worst thing you could be as a Kings fan.
Or Wizards fans. What do the Wizards have? They don't have anything. Like, I guess they have AD now. It's like, is that going to make you that much better, though? I don't think
You've got Alex Sarr. You'll get a good draft pick. There's a couple pieces on there that sort of make sense. They have some stuff. And again, the Wizards at least had a few years where the teams were kind of fun. They had some years where they were good. I mean, the Kings have just been terrible forever.
I had this manager once. I had this manager once that is probably still a diehard Dolphins fan. Watch it. Oh,
it's not great. That's and again, that team teases you too. I don't know what's worse, like being a fan of a team that's just bad, that's just always bad, or a team that's like, you're getting close, we're getting close. Nope.
Yeah, that's worse. Like the Lions have that same thing too. The Detroit Lions who have like really good regular seasons, only just bomb out in playoffs and just look like not even the team that they were a few weeks ago. So, like I said before, guys, when it comes to the show, just because you don't see the show happen with us, we didn't quit doing the show. It's just, busy. Life's hard sometimes. Sometimes I want to do it. He can't. He wants to do it. I can't. It's just how things go. But here's the good news. The Lakers are going to win the whole thing. That's what I'm going to predict it right now. Lakers win the entire thing. LeBron has this epic Cinderella run. And then guess what? After the season's over and he wins the trophy, he goes back to Cleveland. Or he goes to the Warriors. Remember the rumor? He might join Steph. That would be crazy if he joined the Warriors. I'll be honest here, that would be some pretty big news. That would inject a lot of life.
The Expendables.
I never think of the world. Steph Curry and LeBron on the same team. Would that even work though? I don't think that could really work. I mean, it could.
Absolutely. You would have LeBron would sort of be the point forward. You would have, so basically it would be Steph Curry, LeBron, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, and then they'd find a fifth guy basically to fill in there.
That pod guy, right?
Hopefully a center. I think they would try to find a big guy to put around those guys. But yeah, you basically have LeBron be kind of the point forward. And again, you'd have Butler at the end of games. You'd have Curry at certain points. Draymond is still, not too bad. But yeah, it would just, it'd be just like one of those Expendables movies where all the old guys are getting back together for one more run.
One last run, yeah.
It's tough. It's tough being old, man. It's tough being 40 years old in an NBA that continues to get better and better and full of younger, more athletic guys that are more skilled. I mean, the new hot guy. It's incredible that LeBron is even relevant at this point in his career. It's just incredible.
Yeah. Any last things you want to say to everyone watching before we head out? Anything you want to let them know you're working on? Apparently you're going to be, working in a bar now. So you're going to be betting on sports games in a bar. You're going to be a bartender, noobs. What happened?
Well, no, we won't be doing that. I'll always be sitting and basically you can't see the desk. This is where I spend most of my day, playing in Excel sheets and stuff like that. But yeah, follow me on Twitter at _Noops. I am regularly hosting NBA betting shows. We'll be doing that Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday throughout the playoffs. DMs are open. Always happy to talk about stuff. We'll be tweeting about things pretty regularly. And yeah, it's the best time of the year. It really is. I like the NBA. I hate how mean everyone is about it in the regular season. I love it, but this is the greatest. I can't wait to watch these play-in games, each of the series and things like that. And like you said, we'll be back. We'll try to check in as much as we can during the playoffs. And I guess I'm going to pick the Thunder beat the Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. And
that's a huge one.
The Celtics beat the Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals, and then the Thunder beat the Celtics in 5 games in the NBA Finals. I think the Thunder are just so stinking good.
Yeah. Oh, God. What a team is disgusting. Oh, my God.
They can go big. They can go small. They've got SGA. It's just an embarrassment of riches.
The problem here is like this dynasty probably going to last for another few more years, pending injuries and all that stuff. And,
team money. At some point, money becomes a problem. You can only pay so many of these guys, but the Thunder are
the salary cap,
as anybody. They're going to have SGA, Chet Holmgren, for the next 4 or 5 years at least. And that's a great starting point.
It's crazy too, dude. It's like if you're a team that's a third place team, and your team isn't even like that bad. It's actually pretty good on paper. You made all the right decisions, but the two teams above you just made better decisions than draft picks and getting a different player here and there. Trading. It's like, God damn it. I told you before. Same thing with the Knicks team with their owner too. You could have done everything right though. This is how sports go. Sometimes it's not even just you did anything wrong. You did everything right. It's just this is how unfortunate things can pan out where another team's just better. This is just sports. At the end of the day, this kind of thing happens, you know? Or you give me all your money, and that could work too, you know? So, yeah, it was great catching up with Noobs to talk about the, NBA 2025, 2026, playoffs beginning. They start this week, so I'm happy. We're in the postseason. Yes, finally. Good Lord. Lakers in the finals in 7, because Lord knows they can't sweep anybody. Because if they sweep anybody,
that means pick. Just don't bet on it.
That's crazy. If any of you guys think the Lakers are sweeping anybody, I need to know what level of crack you're smoking. Please let me have it, because that is just this team is in sweeping anybody. I would be surprised if they could sweep their own floors because they have probably maids and stuff they do it for them. But so thank you guys for checking out this episode of the Cloud9 Podcast, and we'll see you guys later. Make sure you guys go follow Make sure you guys go follow at Noops_ on Twitter. It's always talking hoops, always betting too, and he's going to bet on himself winning $1 million this year. We'll see you.